Hello. So we're going to work on our first project. Our first project is to launch an EC2 instance that would just have a simple web server running on it. This is literally just going to be a quick website that we're going to just access it from our browser and just open it. That's literally all we're going to do. However, before we do that, we have to create the server that's going to have this web server running on it, and we're going to make some slight configurations as far as on the AWS side, and we're going to also install it. So let me see here. There we go. So the first thing we're going to do is access the AWS console. Once we get access, we're going to launch the EC2 instance, and we're going to ensure that port 80 is open because that's how we're going to reach the web browser. After we do this, we're going to access our machine using SSH, and we'll talk more about that in a bit. After that, we'll gain access to the machine, and we're going to install the Apache web server. Then we're going to make sure that it's running. Before we proceed forward, just make sure you have a AWS account already, and you have Mobile Extra installed. If you do not have these two things set up already, I recommend right now to go get that set up. Now let's get started. So now that we have logged into AWS, we're going to launch our EC2 instance. Now this is the new dashboard that they're having, so it's going to be a little bit different than what we're used to. I'm even kind of new to this, so the first thing we want to do is actually look for EC2. Now if you have not previously done this before, it will not show up right here. So what we're going to have to do is go to the search bar at the very top and type in EC2. Once that loads up, we're going to click the one that says Virtual Servers in the Cloud EC2. Perfect. Now, the GUI may have changed in the future, so if you're watching this, it may show something a little bit different, but the dynamics should be the same. However, if it is a little bit different than we're used to, then I'll just create a new video with the new EC2 experience. So in order for us to launch the EC2 instance, we're going to have to select here our launch instance. Once we're here, actually I see the opt-in, so let's try that right now. Okay, there we go. So this is brand new to me, so give me a minute here to kind of look at this. But essentially, almost everything that we kind of would need in the other one is available here. So this is fine for us. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to name the server right here. So we're going to call it web server. Okay. Now on the right side, looks like it's everything we need here except for firewall. So let's click on that real quick. Oh, there we go. Changes it to here. Perfect. So luckily, looks like they automatically set up some basic default ports to be open, which is great and easy for us. So we're gonna scroll to the top and kind of start again from the top. So here, we're the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna write the name web server, which is great. We're going to select Amazon Linux, which is great. It's fine for what we're doing here. We're gonna scroll down. We're gonna select something that's on a free tier, which is automatic, which is great. After this, we're going to see the key pair right here. Now, this is the private and public key that's going to be created for us to get access to this machine. Now, if this is your first time doing this, I highly suggest to click here on the right side, create new key pair. So what will happen is that we need to create a public and private key. And the way it works is that you're going to save that private key, and then the public key is going to be installed on your machine. I'm not going to go into how that works, but essentially it's literally the key into the house. And picture as the private key being the actual physical key you have, and the public key being the doorknob you're going to use to put in your key and open the door to get into the machine. So right here we're going to name it web server. We're going to click RSA and then .pem, and you're going to create the key. After this, you're going to download the key. I've done this already, so I will skip this step, but if you haven't done this, then I would say do what I just told you right now. Once you get this done, you're going to scroll down more. We'll look at the network settings. By default, most of this stuff is already set up for you, so you don't have to worry about this at the moment, which is great. All you're going to have to worry about is making sure that it says allow SSH traffic from, which is what you need, and then click here where it says allow HTTP traffic from the internet. This is how we're going to access the web server. So go ahead and click on this. Once you're done with this, scroll down, configure storage. That's fine how it is. Don't worry about it. And this is way much easier than what it was before. So when you have this set up already, all you have to do is just make sure you have selected the name. The Amazon Linux is selected, which should be automatic. It should have the instance type should be the free tier. You have created your key. In this case, I have to select my key, which is just web server. Or when you create the new key, it will select it for you, which I'm assuming is going to happen. Then scroll down and make sure the network settings that you have allow SSH traffic from, it says anywhere, and then allow HTTP traffic from the internet set up right here, clicked. And after that, you don't have to worry about configure storage or advanced details. So that's pretty much it. So go ahead and click on launch instance and let that launch. Okay, perfect. We're going to click on view instances, and this is your new instance that's being launched. This is your server right here. This may take about maybe less than a minute for it to boot up, but once it's ready, then we'll continue moving forward on how to access this machine. Okay, so now that we get the EC2 instance up and running, the next thing we want to do is to access the machine. So one of the things we need to do is select the server and go to public IP. What we're going to do is copy that IP address. Then we're going to go to Mobile Xterm to access the machine. So what we're going to do is open up Mobile Xterm. We're going to select here on the top left, session. Click on SSH. The IP address is going to go into here where it says remote host. So let's right click and paste. After that, we're going to select our user that we're going to use to log in. So it's going to be called EC2-user. After this, as I mentioned earlier, we need to use a private key to access this machine. So let's go to advanced SSH settings. Select use private key. Next, we're going to find that private key. That private key should be in your downloads or wherever you declared it earlier. So we're going to downloads, web server PAM. This is it right here. So press open. And next thing you know, we're going to press OK. And we access the machine. There we go. So once we access this machine, as previously mentioned, we want to install the Apache web server and run it. So the first thing I need to do is, in order for me to install anything on the machine, I need to have an admin log in or tell the computer, hey, I am admin. So in order to do that, we're going to do the following. We're going to type sudo, which is admin, yum, install httpd. And we're going to type in yes. So if the prompt comes up saying, hey, do you want to install it? We're gonna automatically tell it yes, it's okay. So the command is sudo yum install httpdy. So let's install it. There you go, it's installed. So after we install it, let's check the status of it. System ctl status httpd. So even though we installed it, we didn't tell it to run at all. So if I were to go back to my browser and if I were to select this IP address and I paste it at the very top right here, let's see, and I try to visit it, let's see what happens. Looks like nothing is happening because nothing is running on that server that we have on port 80. So what we need to do is to make sure that we, instead of installing it, we have to run it. So let's go back to our SSH connection to the machine, and instead of systemctl status http, let's say start httpd. Oh, that doesn't work. Interesting. Now let's see here. There's a reason why. Why is this not working? Now, as I mentioned earlier, when we ran the command to install it, we ran sudo. Remember, if you're not an admin, you cannot really do much as far as starting things here. You can see what's going on as far as system status HTTPD, but if you try to start it, you're gonna have issues. So now let's try the command again with sudo systemctl start HTTPD. That gives a way different output than the one before. Now let's check the status of it again. Let's do systemctl status HTTPD. Now it's running based on what we're seeing here. It's currently active. That's showing it's running compared to before it's active, saying that it's inactive, it's dead. So let's go take a look at our browser again. Let's grab the IP address. Let's type it at the very top with HTTP and select it. Wait, there we go. Now we have the test page running. You have done your first project.